Hello, my name is Felipe Rayel, and I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership, an Albuquerque-based nonprofit who looks to be celebrating our 30th year helping to build a better Albuquerque. Through a combination of single-family home developments for first-time homebuyers, all the way up to large-scale multifamily, we're excited to invite you today to our virtual ribbon-cutting, groundbreaking ceremony for PAH Hiland Plaza. PAH is the ASL word for finally or at last, and represents close to a 30-year commitment by the Deaf Culture Center to bring together homes designed for the deaf, blind, and hard of hearing community, and also a space that can house the Deaf Culture Center of New Mexico with office spaces and community gathering spaces. So I'd like to thank some of our partners who are joining with us today. First being the Deaf Culture Center. You'll hear from 3 members of the DCC, the City of Albuquerque, the Mortgage Finance Authority, Albuquerque Housing Authority, Raymond James, who is our equity investor, PNC Bank, who was providing our debt for both construction and permanent financing. The property was designed by the Hartman Majewski Design Group. It will be constructed by Janes Corp. With special development support from Green Insight, and will be, upon completion, professionally managed by Monarch Properties. Our first speaker today will be Izzy Hernandez, the Executive Director of the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority, who provided approximately $1.6 million in annual credits over a 10-year period, which we then syndicated through Raymond James that provided a deep equity subsidy to enhance affordability of the project. With that, welcome, Izzy.
Thank you, Felipe, and good morning, everyone. It's another very exciting day for affordable housing in New Mexico. For those of you that may not know, the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority, or MFA, is the state's housing agency, and we provide statewide affordable housing opportunities across the full spectrum of affordable housing. We have over 30 programs and over 300 partners that help us do that. Last year, we were able to assist over 25,000 households or families with various programs and the help of the many partners that I just mentioned. Partners are key to MFA's mission and the ones that actually meet the needs at the very local level. One such partner is a Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership, and they do a tremendous job. Hiland Plaza will be just another one example of them providing exceptional housing communities. This is a first development funded by MFA that is designed to accommodate this population, and one of only 4 in the country. It's very exciting. It is truly a pleasure to be a funding partner to this development. Just over a month ago, some of you may remember, we celebrated the grand opening of the senior living community just up Central Avenue that transformed a blighted building into a beautiful new community for 91 seniors. Felipe and his team do a great job of identifying the need and then addressing it. It's developments like this that are helping to create transformational change for so many families throughout our community. As you all know, there is a great need for affordable housing across the state. Some recent studies and data indicates that there's a shortage of over 32,000 units for extremely low income families across the state. And this last year, rents increased by over 18% in Albuquerque. There's some recent data that was just released a day or 2 ago that indicates that the median sales price for a home here in Albuquerque is $335,000. That's over a 19% increase in just 1 year. There's projections that we need to increase by about 400 units per year that are being built to accommodate the projected growth in New Mexico. And Hiland Plaza will help meet that need. MFA's role in this, as Felipe mentioned, is the allocation of low-income housing tax credits, about $16 million. The tax credits help the vast majority of affordable, or help develop the vast majority of affordable housing nationwide and in New Mexico. And they are crucial to keeping rents affordable for the 91 residents that will be calling PAHA or calling Hiland Plaza their home. I'll close with a couple of highlights. The first one is that Hiland Plaza will be home to 91 families, and it will be their foundation for building a strong family and contributing to a strong community. Second is that Hiland Plaza and other affordable housing developments are vital to economic growth and have a significant economic impact and are the driving force for economic development across the state. I want to thank Felipe and the GAHP staff for the partnership and all the hard work they do in meeting the needs out there. Any elected officials and our partners out there that help us meet our mission. And lastly, I want to thank the MFA staff for all the hard work that they do in living out our mission. Congratulations, Felipe.
Thank you, Izzy. I'd now like to introduce Bobby Moore, one of the founding members of the Deaf Culture Center of New Mexico, an organization started way back in 1994 with probably origins much before that, with the idea of developing a space for the deaf community. Welcome, Bobby.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Bobby Moore. I am one of the founders of the DCC, who's also helped with this concept from the beginning. Again, it's been 1994 was when, we started COPD in New Mexico, the Community Outreach Program for the Deaf, and the director at that time, he was one who requested Lisa McKinnon and myself to help really address this housing and be able to provide it for the community. So that was, where that came from. The COPD executive director really saw this need and wanted to be able to share this need with us and get us involved. And so, we were able to start working on plans at that time. And at the time, we thought it would be half deaf club, half housing. Deaf clubs used to be a cultural institution across the country. They've really started to diminish in the last, couple decades, but that was, our original mission and our original kind of charge from the COPD director. And so since then, we've had several community meetings where we have kind of garnered community input and seen what the Deaf Culture Center would like us to establish here in Albuquerque. And that's been a long process over the last many years. And through this, we found different obstacles related to federal funding not matching our needs, and other funding sources that were not going to be a good fit for this. We found a lot of funding sources to support senior citizens in particular, but and again, being able to come across Felipe and see the aligned missions that we have in increasing housing and providing a space for the Deaf Cultural Center, we really started to kind of take off. I think we had a banquet, and we've had several deaf fairs, we've had several fundraisers, different events where people are able to both give input and help fundraise for this housing. And so the DCC, again, is designed to be on the first floor. PA at Hiland Plaza is really a celebration of all those hard years of work. And so I want to thank Felipe for all of your work and for all of you for listening to my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobby. It's taken a whole team, and I'd like to introduce another of those team members that helped make this project just a little bit more affordable. So all 91 units will be affordable to folks in Albuquerque, but 23 of those units will be specifically set aside with project-based vouchers, which means that the resident pays exactly 30% of their rent, with the balance being paid for via the project-based Section 8 vouchers. So I'd like to welcome Dan Foster, the Housing Development Director at the Albuquerque Housing Authority, to explain a little bit more. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Felipe. It's a pleasure to be here. I was pretty excited when this opportunity fell in my lap. If you don't know me or my background, part of that goes back with Felipe when he and I and Linda Bridge all worked together in the Housing Development Department at MFA. And so my first thought was, oh good, I'm gonna get to share a funny, slightly embarrassing Felipe story from the past. Just for the sake of time, I'll hold that for maybe the ribbon cutting ceremony. But the point of that story was going to be, Felipe is a very detail-oriented, analytical, and thoughtful person. There's never any such thing as going through the motions. Every decision's an opportunity. I see those characteristics in the team he's brought together on this project, Miriam, Lori, Kelly, the design group, Monarch Properties, and then the Janes Corporation when we hit construction. You can see that detail-oriented, that thoughtfulness, that analytical nature in the way this project is structured. You see it in the design, the way the services are structured to fit the populations, the way those design elements mate with the services, as well as serve the resident needs. You can see it in the way affordability is structured across the income brackets to really serve households in Albuquerque and to match with the needs of the community. And for all those reasons, Albuquerque Housing Authority is really delighted to be part of this project by providing 23 households in the property with rental assistance. That will provide stability in housing for those 23 families. It's going to provide stability in revenue for the property to make sure that it's sustainable and operates as high-end housing well into the future. So for all of those reasons, we really appreciate the opportunity to partner with GAHP and the team they've assembled together for PAH Hiland Plaza. So thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I think I might need to test that and hear that story before it goes public again, but thank you for your support and joining us today. There's been a lot of thanks going around. The next person I'm going to introduce, Lisa McKinnon. We met her and the DCC team a little over 5 years ago, and she would continually call me, send me messages, or even grab me on the street as I'm walking back from lunch. And she did not let us give up on their dream. And so I'm happy to welcome Lisa McKinnon, the chair of the Apartment Building Committee and one of the founding members of the DCC, of the Deaf Culture Center of New Mexico. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. Again, my name is Lisa McKinnon. I was born deaf, and I graduated from Gallaudet University, the only liberal art university in the world for the deaf. I learned about the deaf culture from that university. The university gave me such a sense of pride about being a deaf person, and my involvement with the deaf community began there. When I moved to New Mexico, I joined the community outreach program for the deaf. I'm an employee of that agency, providing direct service to deaf, hard of hearing, deaf, blind people all across the state. And I saw the need of the community wanting a space of their own to grow their language, their tradition, their culture, the history. They needed the community space to do this. We raised funding towards that purpose. And in 2007, we met with Senator Rodriguez at the state legislature, who had a deaf daughter who passed away. And she was such a staunch advocate for not only the DCC, but also to COPD, the New Mexico School for the Deaf. She herself said she saw the need for a community center for the community. But then I also met with individuals who were struggling to live independently with the finance that they have that were limited. They wanted an affordable, accessible home. And I decided a mission part with the DCC, with the group that came behind us with various organizations, such as the Hearing Loss Association of Albuquerque, the New Mexico Association for the Deaf, the New Mexico Deaf Blind Organization, the Indian group, and more. All these organizations wanted to see an apartment added with the culture center. The affordable, accessible apartment became a goal in 2007, and we kept going with that goal in mind, and we never gave up. It wasn't just me, it was the entire community behind me. We wanted this to happen, and when we met with the GAHP, the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership, we said, could you help us? Could you work with us? They said yes. And I want to say thank you to Felipe and his team in making our dream come true. We look forward to having our apartment be a reality for the many deaf, hard of hearing, deaf, blind individuals, not only in Albuquerque, but throughout the state and throughout the country. Thank you for being behind us with MFA, CABQ, and all the members of the DCC.
Thank you, Lisa, and all of the members of the DCC for your hard work since '94 and since 2007, helping make this project a reality. They were very instrumental in the design process. We engaged a deaf architect to help review, so that way it was really designed for their needs. And so we're really happy that we've, with this groundbreaking event to get started on that construction. Carol Pierce, the Director of Family and Community Services with the City of Albuquerque, has, I think, one of the coolest jobs in the city. It has some of the departments that I think are kind of most high touch and most visible, things from like parks all the way up to affordable housing. So anywhere where the city touches family and youth, Carol's got a hand on her team there. The city supported this project, the first in money, of approximately $3.6 million in home funds. These are pass-through federal funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, specifically for affordable housing development. As the only citywide CHOTO, we are excited to bring this project to the city. In addition, they are continuing to support the project with approximately $470,000 of CDBG funds that will help fund some off-site infrastructure improvements. Being an infill site, things like the road, sewer, and sidewalks will need to be improved, but we're outside of the scope of the development budget. And with that, I'd like to welcome Carol Pierce.
Great. With that, as I understand, it means success. It worked. You made it. We made it. And I am just so delighted to be asked to speak today. And it's really an honor to follow Lisa and other key partners that made this possible. Izzy with the MFA, and of course, Felipe, and also the Housing Authority as well. So we've had so many joyous things recently where we've come together to make great things happen in our community, and this is certainly one. And I think it especially gives me chills when I think of this was a dream. Not was a dream, it is a dream. And it's coming to fruition here after all the decades of dreaming and wanting to fill a need in our community and bring forth the deaf culture and bring alive the traditions and the stories associated. That just makes my heart sing. It's an honor to be a part of this. Yes, just to reiterate, Felipe, really glad that the city could bear resource to really help bring more affordable units into our community. We know these 92 units will really be helpful at really increasing that stock on affordable housing. That's extremely important, and glad that some of the resources can be used for some of those infrastructure needs. So yes, in a total of about $4 million, we're grateful to do that. And I think mostly just thank you everyone for what it takes to get these projects done. I think there's the unexpected, the expected, and it's just such a delight to be here on this virtual groundbreaking. I too can't wait to be at the ribbon cutting. And with that, I just really want to thank all the partners. And I also would like to thank our team here at the Department of Family and Community Services. We've got a great team that really believes in projects like this. Thanks, Felipe, always for being there to really think of how we can make things happen. And thank you for telling me I have the coolest job in the city of Albuquerque. I didn't really know that. And so, but I do love the work and love the team I work with and appreciate so much the partners in the community. So with that.
Thanks, Carol, and thanks to your team from Lisa, Monica, Rick, Brianna, everyone else who helps us on a day-to-day basis. Thank you, guys. We value your support. I'd like to introduce Chad LeBlanc, the president of the Deaf Culture Center of New Mexico, will take us to the final steps. Welcome, Chad.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chad LeBlanc. I'm currently the DCC president. I really wanted to thank Felipe and everyone who has been involved in making PAH a reality for this community, for deaf, blind folks, hard of hearing people, you know, and other disabilities included as well. This is a huge gift to us and a huge opportunity to our community. It's really the result of over 20 years of work through various frustrations and what we thought would be successes, false starts. It's just taken a lot of support behind us to keep going. And so I'm just thrilled to see this progressing in this way. I also wanted to mention, I'm thrilled that this opportunity is, you know, something that I will benefit from as well. I think we could not be doing this without all of the partners here. We're really excited to start finding folks who are interested in working or living in this apartment. We've already started an interest list. And so you can go to the DCC-NM. So go to the DCC-NM.org website. You can complete the interest form there. And so we're happy to begin this process. Again, thank you everybody for your participation and support today.
Thank you, Chad, for your leadership. I think it's important to note that these 92 units will have a leasing preference for the deaf, blind, and hard of hearing community. So if that's you or someone in your family or someone you know, please encourage them to visit that DCC-NM.org to get on the interest list. And we hope to begin pre-leasing later this fall or early next spring. Our final speaker today will be Keaton Baratia, a principal architect with Hartman Majewski Design Group, who will share just some of the cool attributes of the building and the beautiful site design. So I'm not going to put it out there too light, but the last time we worked with Keaton and Design Group, we won a national USGBC award for the design and development. So I'm going to welcome Keaton and his team today. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe, for your kind words. It's always an honor to work with GAHP, also an AHA, and with Mortgage Finance Authority. I think you all team up and make a quality affordable housing project, a very high quality, and the attention, as Dan mentioned, that GAHP pays to the quality of the life that we offer in this design. And you really push us to design a good quality for the affordable housing. So we appreciate that. And at Design Group, our vision statement is creating relationship and communities that endure. And we believe that this project is just another opportunity for us to live our vision and mission, doing something like this in the community. So thank you again. And it's really hard to explain a design in 5 minutes, isn't it? When you work on 1.5 or 2 years, but I will do my best to keep it under 5 minutes. So what you're seeing in front of this thing is actually a photograph taken in the month of August, I think, and in the evening sun was just setting in the west and you're looking east to the mountains, a beautiful our Route 66 that, you know, I think we all have connection to the Route 66. So Hiland District, as we know, has been developed since 1940s and 50s, and during the heyday of Route 66. So we wanted to make sure that what we design here along the Central is we are good neighbors, respectful to the history of Nob Hill, of Hiland, the Route 66, and a very prominent, prevalent architecture that you see on Route 66, especially in this area. We define this architectural terminology or design terminology that is called streamlined modern. And with that style that you can see some of the immediate precedence images along the Central, and we are all very familiar with this building. Hiland is one of the iconic buildings, and we want to take some precedences from these buildings. And this site was actually a old desert sands motel long time ago. And there was a movie shooting that was done, No Country for Old Men, I think. So we wanted to bring all of these things and create a design and architecture that responses to all of these features around the site and be a good neighbor. So this is a mixed-use project, and this project is designed also to meet all the zoning requirement, the character protection requirement for Nob Hill, for Hiland, the Route 66. So what you're seeing here is along the Central is a commercial side, and then upstairs you have apartments. On the corner of that, where you see the curved glass, again, taking inspiration from the streamlined modern design, curving corners, sweeping horizontal lines, verticals, lofting, massing, clean lines, contrasting colors, and bold neon signs that might happen on the project. Can we move to the next slide, please? So here's a hand-rendered site plan that shows on the top is a Central Avenue. On the left, you see the Jackson Street, which is a residential street. So what we have created is actually a public plaza area that I think this was another vision for this project, to actually also create a space for the community, not just for the residents who are living here. The site is include all the amenities, basic amenities, and actually much more than the basic amenities, which is a play area. You can see at the bottom of the site in the bottom left corner, there will be a play area which is designed for appropriately age group to promote community interaction, physical activity, and sensory stimulation. There will also be a dog park area, fence area right in the middle of the site. There is a possible skate park at the bottom of the site, and this is all within the secured parking area. The landscape is done very sensitively with native vegetation and semi-native and drought-tolerant plants. On the west side of the building, we put some shade trees to block the sun, the harsh sun in the summer. And also, I think everything is connected to the accessible parking, accessible pathways along the site. We can move to the next slide, please. Here's a building plan. I apologize, it's cutting off a little bit, but as you can see, it shows a building plan on the first level. So the units that you will have in the project is 1-bedroom unit, 2-bedroom unit, and 3-bedroom unit. So those are distribution. There are more counts of 1-bedroom unit. And we're providing the 10% of the total units will be actually accessible, fully accessible unit, universal design, which is actually more than what you need by code. And the universal design features, aging in place, those kind of features are kind of designed in these buildings. The elevator is located right in the middle of where the two wing meets, very close to the amenities for the residents. Stairways kind of opens up, and those vertical features are emphasized on the site to actually encourage a resident to take stair and be healthy. We can do the next slide, please. This is the second floor level. On the top right corner, you see a yellow space which says lounge space. Is actually, imagine a living space for the entire community that's going to live here for DCC. And that is where you'll have a beautiful view to the sunset, to the mesa out there. And it's a typical plan that shows, simple circulation pathway. And there is a trash chute that connects back and the residents can walk to that and put trash in the trash chute, and it goes down into the mechanical space at the lower level. Next slide, please. Here's another, the third level plan and the fourth level plan is a very typical. So these are a typical building plan. The units are stacked really nicely on top of this to achieve a construction cost efficiency. Each unit will have an induction loop that allows for universal features in the design. Windows, large windows with lots of natural light. The walls, the partition wall between the units will have a high acoustical, means if someone is playing sound in the neighbor unit, you still can have sound privacy in your own unit. Next slide, please. So here's some fun, like we try to bring in some nature and inspiration from the nature and the reasons behind why those materials are selected in the project. So Route 66 again has had an Art Deco movement, and we try to take inspiration from the color palette like Adobe clay. So the entire first floor along the central has Adobe clay color. And then we go to the meteorite gray as we go on the upper apartments, and the white sands on the upper level. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is a facade that goes respond to the more residential street. So we decided to go with a really light and friendly blue sage color that will be on the first floor level for the units that are on the first floor level, and then going to the meteorite gray and the white sands above, and how it merges with the sky. And it takes away the feel of the tall 4-story building on the street level for the residential street side. Next slide, please. Here's some rendered views, conceptual rendered views that kind of shows again from the silver, if you're standing along the silver and looking at this project at the lower bottom. Next slide, please. And here's a night shot rendering of this corner that anchors the Central and Jackson. And that space is almost becomes a meeting point for the outside community and the DCC, and to bring together all at this point. So I want to thanks again for this opportunity, and really excited to see this building construction started soon. Thank you.
Given the virtual event, we staged a groundbreaking ceremony, and we'd like to share that all with you now.
We are at Hiland Plaza. This is one of the old hotels in Central, just east of Nob Hill, and it's part of the city and the Greater Albuquerque Housing Partnership's efforts to build more housing in Albuquerque. And so this site right here is going to be the home of 92 homes for individuals, especially from our deaf community and ALS community. And so this special facility is going to be equipped with things that are very important for them. Special lines of sight, so they have good visuals, special communication tools for maintenance and even talking with each other, as well as special ASL appropriate fire and security systems. So this is going to be a very, very wonderful home for 92 individuals in Albuquerque, and we're excited to break ground today. 3, 2, 1.
So I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. On behalf of GAHP's staff and board of directors, it has been a long time coming. We are blessed to work with such great partners, some of whom we've had a chance to speak today. But I'd like to thank the GAHP team. They are really helping us build a better Albuquerque. From Miriam, our Director of Housing Development, Kelly Signier, our Deputy Director of Operations, Lori Frappier, our Community Relations, Rita Gonzalez, our Controller, David Poole and Amira on our Enrichment Services, and finally Arlene Engel here at the office, who keeps everything going. We'll just leave you with some of these closing images, and can't wait to celebrate approximately about 15 months from now with a ribbon cutting ceremony. Thank you for joining us today.